Okay, so you see, it is in fact very funny in a way. If you look into the entire star formation process, in the entire star formation process, at first what happens is that in the gravitational, we consider the giant molecular cloud, right? From there the star formation starts, and slowly as a result of the gravitational pressure, right? The gravitational force, slowly the entire thing condenses. And because of this gravitational contraction, even Wheeler theorem, you can see from there that as a result of this gravitational contraction, half of the energy is radiated away and half of the energy goes to increase the internal energy of the entire giant molecular cloud. Okay? And what is the result? The result is that overall the entire kinetic pressure of the gas increases, and after some time what will happen is that the temperature might become so large inside the gas that, remember Coulomb barrier, there are charged particles mostly inside, and so Coulomb barrier is there which will resist them coming close to each other. But if the temperature is very high, then the thermal energy becomes very high also, 3 by 2 kBT, right? And it might be possible even by quantum mechanical tunneling that they can come very close to each other and fusion will happen. At that time, what will happen is that the energy released by the fusion will be huge energy release. And what will it do? Basically, it will support the entire gravitational contraction, and slowly we will have a hydrostatic equilibrium. So basically it is fusion which is the real reason behind hydrostatic equilibrium, and slowly this whole thing proceeds in stellar way. First we have got hydrogen burning, then slowly the core is made up of helium ash from hydrogen burning, right? And hydrogen burning happens in the shell. Okay, and if the mass of the core, of the helium core, becomes larger than the limit given by the Chandrasekhar-Schonberg limit, then there will be a core collapse of the helium and hydrogen shell burning outward. And as a result of the helium core collapse, what happens is that again temperature rises, and later on helium burning can start. Towards carbon burning, and so on and so forth. So you see, the moral of the story is, during this entire process energy is being generated, right? Energy is being generated from hydrogen burning to helium burning to carbon burning to higher burning, and so on. And the process stops at iron, because binding energy curve beyond iron, the nature decreases because of the effect of the increased effect of the Coulomb interaction importance, right? Now, so but there are elements, and we can explain their existence because of various types of neutron capture processes. We have discussed these things. But what I want to focus today is that during this entire phenomenon, what is happening is energy is being generated. Okay. Now, what happens? You remember I was talking about white dwarf. So there is also a maximum limit of mass for a white dwarf. That means maximum the degeneracy pressure by the electrons. There is a limit to it which can halt the gravitational collapse. And if the mass is more than that limit, it will be unable to halt the gravitational collapse. And what will happen, this happens for even larger masses, what will happen is that it will keep on collapsing, and what will happen as a result of this collapse is that something different will happen. And what is that? Let us take an example of a scenario where there is only helium, where there is only iron core inside, and outside silicon core, outside oxygen core, and so on. and the whole thing is collapsing, right? Now, why will it collapse? The first reason is that the reason for collapse is that there is no source, right? Which will ensure the hydrostatic equilibrium, which will give the energy, radiation pressure, right? So gravitation will be dominating. Now what happens now is entirely different from what has been happening. So entire thing is being compressed slowly and gradually. Okay. Now what happens is that as a result of this compression, the entire energy of the particles inside, it keeps on increasing. Temperature is increasing, particles are having more and more energy. But beyond iron, even if the temperature increases, there is no fusion. But something different happens. What happens is that even the photons at such high densities, they have so high energies that they can photo disintegrate iron. And as a result of the photo disintegration of iron, something different happens. This takes away a lot of energy from the system. So previously energy was being generated, and now after this entire core, without any more fusion, what is happening is something different. Different type of nuclear reactions are happening which are eating away energy. So first it was exothermic reactions, giving away energy. Now we have eating away, energy eating reactions, endothermic reaction. So the first is the photo disintegration of iron. And it's not just that. Even after the photo disintegration of iron, there are large number of helium nuclei produced. Okay, and again you have also read about the photo disintegration of helium, right? Even helium goes on photo disintegrating, ultimately creating only neutrons and protons, right? And this process, basically what it does, it again eats away energy, photo disintegration. And after that, and what will happen after that, basically, is something even more interesting. Till now, we have still got nuclei, proton, neutron, electron. Now, what will happen after that is something which Bardet and Zwicky predicted. You can see over there. This is the pathway of formation towards the neutron star. This inverse reaction, inverse beta decay will happen, where proton and electron, they will fuse to form neutrons. And as a result, now all of a sudden, inside the entire star, inside this entire phase, there was not much change of this proton, electron, neutron and all that stuff. But now, all of a sudden, there are type of reactions, again endothermic, eating away, energy eating reactions. This reaction eats away 1.8 MeV per reaction. Okay. And as a result, what will happen is the number of neutrons will keep on increasing in the system. So you see, this is the inverse beta decay reaction. This is the process of neutronization. This thing, okay. More and more neutrons are being created. And this is basically where things start to change. A sort of phase transition happens. Okay. And this is basically also the threshold energy. Now let us find what density is required. Okay. So that this energy becomes equal to the Fermi energy. Right now in this system, still the highest energy will be the energy of the electrons, right? Fermi energy of the electron. And if we equate the two of them, you will see that you get this value. If we equate this Fermi energy for relativistic case to 1.8 MeV, then this will give you this value of density, and you can convert this to matter density, and you will get around 10 to the power 7 into 10 to the power 9 gram per centimeter cube, or approximately around 10 to the power 10 grams per centimeter cube. And so the energy of 1.8 MeV is available at such high energies. This is the moral of the story. And you see, at even more higher densities, the neutron gas, it can become degenerate, and as a result it can provide the neutron degeneracy pressure. But remember, at such high densities relativistic effects will also become important. বুঝতে পারছো?